us in prayer.
Well, thank you this time now, and let us conduct ourselves in a Christ-like manner. Thank you, Brother Mark, being here in the ministry he has there at County Line. Bless his family, bless this community. Lord, there's a lot of things need to be done here, and only hope is in Jesus Christ. Thank you again for the counsel. Let's conduct ourselves in a Christ-like manner. Amen.
Amen. If you would remain standing, we'll say pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lucy, before we get started, would you get some napkins out of that thing and put up there? Their hands up. Thank you.
All right. Pardon me. If you would, mute or turn your cell phones off during the meeting, we greatly appreciate it. All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Would you please call the roll, of course?
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor?
Here.
Myrtle? Here. Eugene?
Here.
John?
Here.
Steve?
Here.
And Brenda is absent. Mr. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'd like to welcome everybody to our monthly council meeting. This one should not be too long tonight. Brenda, our clerk, is sick and has not been able to do any of the paperwork that we normally review, so we're not going to have any minutes or financial reports to review this month. We'll pick them up at the next meeting. All right. I have no reports from standing committees or special committees or officers, and my one last time to reminder of the ethics forms, and I think the last one is being completed now, so I can remove that from my agenda. All right. I have no petitions or applications, complaints, correspondence. Does the council have anything?
Not on this end.
Hmm?
Not on this end.
Well, the only thing I've got is the patchwork they did on the road down here.
Well,
It's already,
potting out again. I came up that way a few days ago, and I was thinking to myself, have they already been through here?
yeah, well, it's already, that one big hole is still,
That
There.
biggest hole that they filled it after it rained, and it's full of water when they filled it, and the next day it's already coming back out.
yeah. I know the road is horrible, cause I go down it every time I go to my daughter's house, and it's horrible.
People got to put in amen.
Just before you get to the substation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, right, where you get to.
Has anybody noticed if they turn that light on Smith Mill, where I guess Van's mother lives across the street from that trailer? I went and got the 3 poles that we were gonna turn back on, and the only one they turned on that I know of is the one in front of Green Acres. The other poles do not have numbers on them.
Mm-hmm.
They just got like A and B, that's it. I wrote down both cross streets to them. And I happened to see I think I told you, I saw the Alabama Power worker, and he said, well, I've got all the poles right here on my phone. Well, where those poles are is out of his jurisdiction. So he didn't have any of them, and they wanted me to get a longitude and latitude standing at the poles and call in those. But they turned on the one in front of Grand Acres, but the one in the curve and the one at Smithville, I do not think, or was it Smithville?
Smithville.
Smithville.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't think because I rode down there one night, I didn't see it on. But the one that was there got shot out. Somebody shot it out.
Right. I've got the district manager's name for Alabama Power. I have to dig it up. I don't remember what it is right off the top of my head, but he took Charlie. Well, I can't think of his name. Anyway, we have a new district manager for Alabama Power. I'll give him a call and see if we can get something done other than trying to get navigational coordinates.
He said, oh, you can get out. You're right here. You got a device that will show you.
Yeah, it's, anyway, I'll give him a call. See what we can do with that. And I'll call Commissioner Washburn about the roads again. Thank you for potholing it, but you need to do it when it's dry. Okay. Anything else from the council or comments? Okay. I hope that Brendan will get over here for illnesses, and I'll be back with us next month, brother. All right. The last thing I have on my agenda is the candidate for Blount County Sheriff, Mark Moon, to speak to us. And the floor is yours.
Let me say thank you for having me here tonight, and for allowing me to come and talk, because I know that there's a lot of people to choose from in this election, and like Mayor, like you said, we need to educate ourselves on everybody and what they want to do, and so I appreciate you letting me come and speak to you tonight. My wife makes me take these cards with me because I am a Baptist preacher and I do tend to get long-winded, so she makes me stay on task because I can just rant, I can just go on, but she makes sure that I stay on. But yes, my name is Mark Moon. I was born and raised in Blount County. I was born and raised in Cleveland, Alabama. I went to the school at Cleveland High School. I graduated there in 1996. I played every sport under the sun: football, basketball, baseball, ran track, and was all-state in football and baseball. I went from there to UAB, played football at UAB, and didn't make much of a college student, to be honest with you, to start out with, and decided to try something else and got into some other forms of employment, and before I joined the military. My wife, Kelly, is here with me. My oldest son, Colin, and John Caden, who's our peanut butter. He's the one that's in the middle. Molly, our baby girl, is at dance practice tonight, so she's with my parents dancing. Anyway, I've been with the sheriff's office for 12 years. I started working under Danny Morton. He hired me. I was a campaign promise kept. He told me that he had a job for me, that if he got reelected, that he would hire me and put me in the courthouse at first, and then while I was in the academy, he decided to put me as a school resource officer at Susan Moore, because at the time I was serving as a youth pastor at Bethel Baptist Church, and all the kids there except for maybe 2 went to Susan Moore. So he was was going to put me in the school there at Susan Moore as an SRO, which is what I did from the time I graduated the academy until the time school was out that year, and then I went to patrol that summer, and I stayed on patrol the rest of the time until later on, I went back, after I came back from Afghanistan, I went back to the school for a little while, for about a year and a half, while I went back to patrol, which now I'm working as a narcotics investigator. I work drugs, and there's a lot of it in Blount County, if you didn't know. And there's only 2 of us working this epidemic that's killing us right now, and I want to change that. We got to do better. Because there's a lot of drugs in this county, and there's a lot of people who are willingly want to get out and combat it, but right now we're just shorthanded. Talking about my military experience, I've been in the Alabama National Guard for 18 years. Got 2 years to retire. 2 years to get my 20-year letter. Praise the Lord. And I'm looking for that day. But I've been to Iraq. I went to Iraq in 03, 04, 05, and I was in Afghanistan in 2011, where I served as a squad leader. In 2011, with the 1165th MP Company, and we were out we did missions every day. I had 16 guys underneath me that I was in charge of to make sure that we were where we were supposed to be, when we were supposed to be, and what uniform we were supposed to be there, what uniform we were supposed to be in. And we came home, my company came home, and I was the only squad that came home with no disciplinary action taken on my squad. And no paperwork, nothing, no reduction in rank, anything. It was only because I had a bunch of guys that worked hard. They knew that I loved them, and they knew that I was going to care for them, so they loved me and they cared for me. And so we came home with, we didn't have any guys hurt. We did come into contact a couple of times in the joint task force, or joint coalition things that there was some lives lost there, but we came home with all our guys intact. And last but not least, I've been in the ministry for 20 years. March made 20 years that I've been serving in the ministry, and I get the blessed pleasure of serving as County Line Baptist Church's pastor. And I got to tell you, I'll just be straight up with y'all. When I left my last church at Brooksville Baptist Church, Kelly and I, we started praying, where would God lead us, where would He direct us, and I preached in a few different churches. And Joe and Vicki Wallace, Joe Wallace is the music director over here, the music leader at County Line. He raised me. I was raised in his church. I was a member of Oaks Fork Baptist Church from the time I was 10 to the time I answered my call to preach. But I answered my call to preach at First Baptist Cleveland. But anyway, Joe was very crucial in my upbringing. And so Joe called me, knew that I didn't have a church, and said, "Hey, would you like to come to County Line Church and preach?" And I said, "Sure. I've done a lot of policing up in that area, but I'd be glad to come up there and fill the pulpit." And I told Joe, I said, God's going to have to verbally tell me that this is where He wants me to be as the pastor. But I got to tell you, when I walked in that door, Kelly and I knew immediately I was home. And I love that. I love my church. And if y'all don't have a church, come and see how great it is. We still need to get us a preacher, but everything else is really good. We're having a really good time. So if you don't have a home church, come see us. We'd love to have you there. But like I said, this is my home. I love Blount County. I've never had a time in my life where I've said, I can't wait to get out of here. Even when I was in school, I never had a time where I said, I can't wait to graduate, move on to better things, and get out of Blount County. This is always where I wanted to be. I love it here. And I love the people of Blount County, and I want to protect the people of Blount County with everything that I have. I go to work every day. From the time I put on the badge to even today, when I get up and go to work, I look forward to work. You know what they say, if you like your work, you're really not working. And but I look forward to going to work. I love it. And I love being able to provide a service to the people that I love. I remember before I even got hired on the sheriff's office when I was in Iraq, I started the process then of putting in applications at different police departments. And my platoon sergeant at the time worked for Gaston City Police Department, and he encouraged me to put in Gaston City. And I did. And when I came home, Gadsden put me through their hiring process. They had a long, lengthy hiring process. And as I was going through that hiring process, my platoon sergeant came to me and said, "Man, what in the world have you done?" And I said, "I don't know. What are you talking about?" I said, "Why?" He said, "Because you're number one on the list to be hired." I said, oh, well, praise the Lord, you know. But then the sheriff came to me and said, hey, would you like a job with us? And I said, are you kidding me? And so that's where I've been ever since. And I want to be here providing for the people that I love. And I hope that people know that when they see me, they know that that's truly my desire is to work for you and is to protect you and to be the sheriff this county deserves. We need a sheriff that loves these people of Blount County, that loves our department. And I do. I love my department with all my heart. You know, I've had many opportunities ever since I've been in the sheriff's office to go and work other places and make more money and make more benefits, but I just can't leave my home. I can't. And so that's one of the reasons that I believe in my heart that God has led me to run for sheriff. And that's exactly what it is a God-led thing, because I'll be honest with y'all, it's been one of my goals all of my career, the one day to run for sheriff, but I thought it'd be when I was old and getting ready to retire. I'm not old yet, and I'm not very close to retirement yet. But God just kept showing me in this election, or as this process was going on, He kept showing me that He wanted me to run. I'm not saying He's telling me I'm going to be sheriff, but I believe that He wanted me to run. Every time I would build a wall up and say, God, I can't run because of this, He'd break it down and say, no, now look what I've done. And I'd say, okay, well, now saturate the fleece so I can make sure that's exactly what you want me to do. And He'd do exactly that. And He would prove to me over and over and over again that He put me at a time such as this for a reason. So I would ask you to vote for me on June 5th and pray for me every day and for my family, because that's what we need more than anything. I've got some things I want to give everybody. I brought these with. If you don't know me, and if you would like to get to know me a little bit more, I have also, you'll see on here, there's a Bronze Star on there. I was awarded the Bronze Star when I was in Afghanistan on one of our actions on contact. I was given a Bronze Star for leadership. My current position in the Alabama National Guard is a Sergeant First Class. I work as a instructor at the MP school at Fort McClellan, where we teach soldiers that want to change their position in the Army, if they are a cook or if they're a truck driver or if they're a chemical soldier or an infantry soldier. If they've got some other job and they want to be an MP, they come to our school and we give them the training. And it's a four-week school. And I'm an instructor there as a Sergeant First Class, you said. So that's me in a nutshell. And I'll be glad to answer any questions that y'all may have.
Well, one of the hot spots in our town, that way I consider a hot spot, is a trailer on Smith Mill just down below the church. What can be done about that?
Yeah, I'll be honest with y'all, as a narcotics investigator, I have bought dope out of that house a couple of times. And my problem is that the first person that I sent in to buy dope out of that house, because as a narcotics investigator, that's what I do. I need people, like I need to give an informant money to go into the house and buy for them so that I can put a charge on them or do a search warrant. The first time I bought dope out of that house, the guy walked in and he turned off the bug as soon as he got in the house. So I had no evidence other than the drugs that he brought out. Our current situation, our district attorney won't press any charges without video or audio evidence. So just me patting him and searching him before he went in, and him not having drugs, and then him coming out and him having the drugs is not good enough. So we have to have video or audio evidence in order to get a charge. The second time I bought drugs out of that house, was a different informant, and he couldn't tell me exactly who he bought from. He went in the house, and there was several people in there, and there was 3 or 4 voices, and I was actually hearing it on the live wire. And when he came out, he said, well, I gave this person the money, and then this person brought me the drugs, and this person went and got him out of the room. And I said, well, there's obviously plenty of people in there that we could charge with it. And the next thing I know, 3 of those people that lived in that house were gone. So those charges wound up not getting stuck on them. It's not a easy process what we do. It is a bit of a lengthy process at times. We do need people who, informants who will help us. You know, it's kind of one of those, when you talk about informants, it's kind of one of those deals where you kind of have to make a deal with the devil. You know, here, you know, I stopped you and now you had drugs on you, but instead of me taking you to jail, will you go into this house over here and buy drugs for me? And so that's kind of how that works. But we're working. In fact, me and my partner came down here. We worked down here 2 days last week and used your facilities and drank your drinks. So thank you very much for that. We really appreciate it very much. There's also another house that y'all may or may not be aware of. It's not in Blount County. We have spoken to Jefferson County's Drug Task Force or their narcotics team about it, and we're working together. We're doing a joint operation on it as we speak, and we believe that that house that you speak of is purchasing their product from this house close by. That's actually an ongoing mission as we speak. I know people are frustrated with the drugs and the issues they have because they see things like the house that you're talking about. People at church say, can nothing be done about that? And I said, I promise you, we're trying. It's not like it's from a lack of trying. But like I said, with two of us working, you cannot work, you can't watch a house by yourself just because it's not feasible. I can't sit on one end of the road and then the cars will all go out the other end out the other direction. So we need to be sitting where we can see the house and see vehicles coming and going. But with only two of us working it right now, 655 square miles is a lot of ground to cover for two guys. There's a lot of dope in Hayden, there's a lot of dope in Blossville, there's a lot of dope in Locust Fork, there's a lot of dope on Pine Mountain. And so, I'll be honest with you, we're covered up, so we're working as hard as we can. That may sound like an excuse. I apologize if it does. Because I by far do not want to make excuses when it comes to these users or dealers. I'll be honest with y'all, what I want to do when it comes to the drugs is I really want to try to help these people who are addicted. I would like to help the addicts get clean and get counseling and give them some hope, and then throw the dealers in federal prison. That's really what I want to do.
Does Blount County have a drug court?
We do have a drug court. I'm not a fan, but we do have one.
Which judge is it?
Judge Dobson came out of retirement, and it's not Judge Dobson's fault. I'm not blaming him for the reason I don't like it, because I love Judge Dobson. I'm just not a fan of, and it's again the way the system is set up right now. You have to meet a certain guidelines just to even get sent to prison. We've got people that will stop and they'll have drugs on them, and they'll have 43 felonies in their history, and they won't get sent to prison because there's something that they don't fit in the guidelines. And I'm not blaming anybody, but that's just the way it is. Because they don't fit in some certain guideline, they get probation again, they get turned back out. And that's not doing anybody any good. It's not doing them any good, it's not doing you guys any good. I know what me and my partner are really trying to do right now is anytime we get trafficking weight, we try to take it federal. Because if we can get federal charges, if we get the Federal Bureau, or if we get the FBI or the DEA or something like that to adopt our case, then they're getting real prison time, 13 to 15 years, depending on what additives they may have in their charges. And that's out of your communities for 13 to 15. And that's because they have to do every bit of that time. If it's federal time, it's at least 85% they have to serve. State time, if you get 15 years, you may split 6, serve 3 months in the county jail, get put on probation, and turn back out. And it's not like that on the federal system. So that's why me and my partner are really trying our best to send all of our trafficking weight charges federal.
So is it just 2 deputies doing the drug test?
Yes, sir. Just me and my partner.
So if you're elected, will you be able, is that something you're looking into doing?
Yes, sir.
Is upping the manpower in there?
Absolutely. Now, my plan for investigations in general is it's a street crimes unit. And I won't lie to you, I'm not the only one. There's a couple other candidates that want to do that. And the reason why is because it's a great idea. It needs to be done. Because we're so short-handed, because of the financial situation, I don't know if y'all know, but the sheriff's office was cut $400,000 out of the budget this year. And everybody was under the impression that once the election came, that whoever the new sheriff would be, that the commission would give that money back or put it back into the next year's budget, but that's not necessarily true. I've spoken to a couple of commissioners who said, you know, don't count on us giving all that money back because we still got a lot of roads to fix in Blount County. So, so money is an issue. But with the street crimes unit, what I want to do is basically turn our entire investigative team. We've got 4 guys covering districts, and then me and my partner working narcotics. So I would like to include everybody, bring the entire team together and make it a street crimes unit, and they all go out and be proactive. Instead of being reactive and sitting in the office and waiting for you to call and say my house got broke into, or you to call and say my truck got stolen, have us all out there on the streets being proactive, working together to stop cars and patrol neighborhoods and try to, because my firm belief, what I've seen and what I believe is that over 90% of the bad things that happen in our county are drug related. Whether it be a burglary, whether it be a theft, whether it be a murder, whether it be domestic violence, it's somehow revolves around drugs. And if we can beat that drug beast down some, I know that we can stop a lot of the other bad things that are going on.
Well, this trailer that's burning all that stuff too, is that dope you're burning?
No,
you
sir.
cannot get outside
It's
or
not.
breathe.
You'll find that most users, tweakers is what we call them, they just can't sit still. They can't sleep. They'll tear stuff apart. They won't be able to put it all back together, so they'll move to something else and tear something else apart. I don't know if you noticed, but there's a bunch of junk that sits out there in the yard. And oh, by the way, our church van had his tag stolen last week. I don't know if I knew that or not. Yeah. So we've been looking for the church van tag, different areas around here. But anyway, the stuff that they're burning is just nonsense trash. Now, used to, if there'd have been 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, then yeah, they'd probably been burning dope trash. But now, the FDA has put on such strict rules and regulations when it comes to prescription pills, ephedrine. You know, we can't go in the store and buy cold medicine without signing on firstborn over, giving a blood sample. So ephedrine, things that you have to make methamphetamine, those things have been severely restricted. So even though I could still go buy 1 pack of ephedrine, and you can go buy a pack of ephedrine, what used to happen is that somebody who was making the shake and bake is what we call it, making it in the bottles, they'd pay you $50 and you $50 and you $50, and y'all go buy a pack of ephedrine and bring it back to me, and then I'd make the dope and then we'd sell it. But because of the restrictions and because it's coming in much, much cheaper and much easier from Mexico, everybody nowadays has a Mexican source.
They buy it online.
Well, I'm not trying to sound racist
Right,
or whatever, but
right.
I mean,
They buy it online.
when it comes out of Mexico, comes across the border, shoots across the country, and it comes in places like New Orleans and Atlanta and hubs like that, and then our people all have a Mexican source that they call, because that Mexican source is connected to the mafia or some form of crime group out of Mexico, and they just get their dope from them. And it's much cheaper for them to do that. It's much easier for them to do that than it is for them to shake it and make it their own, because it's also much purer than what they can make. So they're going to get more money for it.
I'm sure you've seen the camera trailers
Yes, sir.
Jefferson County has set up. Is that something
They're very expensive.
is there a grant or something?
Well, that's another thing that I really intend on doing, is digging deep into some federal grants, because we haven't got a federal grant. I couldn't tell you how long. We have gotten some grants that we've used, but we have depended on the pistol permit fund to really. Well, I'm not gonna lie. The pistol permit fund bought everybody a new outer vest. Have you seen our deputies, how they wear their vests on the outside now?
He was at my house.
And they got the pouches and stuff on the
the
outside.
other night.
Yeah, the pistol permit fund bought everybody an outer vest, which was fantastic, because I know to you, y'all, it doesn't matter to y'all, but for us, wearing all your stuff on your hip Once you've been in and out of the car and you sit down in the car and all that weight on it's bad for your back.
Yeah.
So it's better to put it up here and disperse the weight, and it's healthier for the deputies and it's more tactical. You know, they've got the drop leg holsters now that they can pull their ammunition and stuff out so much easier. It's better all the way around for the deputy. So big fan of the outer vest. But anyway, that was paid for out of pistol permit fund. But yes, we need to look at getting some federal grants for things that will really help most of all to help our drug enforcement. You know, we've had some choices, we've had some options in the last couple of years. Just in the last 2 years since I've been in narcotics, the DEA has and the FBI. I've got a great friend who works at the FBI, works in the Gaston office. He has come to our sheriff multiple times and begged him to let us get in this federal task force. And the sheriff is anti any task force at all. And I think the sheriff just thinks it's going to pull manpower away from the county. But actually what it would do is it would give us extra men that the county don't have to pay for. And the feds pay for the overtime and the feds pay for the gas. So that is something that I would really be looking to is to try to get us into some kind of a DEA or FBI task force that would help us bring people into our county to combat. Because we're just as bad as Walker County, and we're just as bad as Etowah County, and we're just as bad as Coleman County, and we need enforcement here. We need bodies to work.
Are they moving out of Birmingham, coming into Blount County?
The thing about what's coming out of Birmingham is it's not what you would think, to be honest with you. The majority of what we're seeing, there's just no better way to put it. It's white trash. I mean, that's what it is. It's white trash that's using it, and then they'll sell enough to buy more for themselves. You know, they'll. My partner says a monkey can't sell bananas because you know they're using so much, they're not selling enough to support their habit, so they have to steal stuff or whatever the case may be. But that's what we're seeing mostly is just white trash folks, just you know, selling enough to support their habit. But everybody they may know somebody who can sell a little bit larger weight, and that person probably has the Mexican source. That's just how it's going. We thought we had 2 years ago, boy. We had a big bust. I mean, we got 6 pounds of methamphetamine, a whole bunch of guns, a whole bunch of money out of the hotels in Ariana, and we thought we'd done good, and we thought we'd put a big old dent in it. 2 months later, we get 2.2 pounds and $10,000 and some guns coming out of Cleveland. We thought we'd put a dent in it. A few months later, we get 115 pounds of marijuana, 2 pounds of crystal meth, 2 ounces of cocaine, and a whole bunch of pills, and $90,000 of cash out of Blunston. So it's rampant. And you know, back when the guys that were on the task force before, they said back whenever they were shaking, or back whenever before when they were still making the labs on the coffee pots or whatever, you know, that if we saw what's called an 8-ball, an eighth of an ounce or whatever, if we saw an 8-ball, we thought we were doing great. And if we got an ounce, which is trafficking weight, if you have an ounce or more of crystal meth, that's considered drug trafficking. And if we saw an ounce, we thought we'd save the world. And now, when we buy dope, we really hardly ever buy less than an ounce. I mean, we're buying half ounces and 8-balls, yeah. But whenever we're going into houses and we're doing these big deals, we're getting 2 and 3 ounces, half a pound. We did a setup and we stopped this car coming out of gas the other day. The girl had a half a pound of dope stuffed inside vegetable cans. We did a search warrant in Hayden a few months ago. The guy called up his Mexican source and ordered up a half a pound, and within 30 minutes they were there with their half a pound of dope. We took them down. So I mean, it is just all over the county. It's rampant. We got a lot of work to do.
You know, we have a Jefferson County officer that lives in our neighborhood.
Yes, sir.
And they do the highway safety.
Right.
I guess for like overtime or whatever.
The ADECA stuff.
And his lieutenant approved him to patrol
Right.
county line. And he was getting done, and there was 2 girls walking down the road. Well, he turned around, went and pulled them over, and they both had warrants.
Yep.
Drug warrants. One was in Coleman, and one was in Trussville. and neither one of them would come get them.
Right. That's something that I never really understood. Trustful will never come get theirs. I have never stopped a person, whether it be on the south end of the county, right at the Jefferson County line, or whether it be in the middle of Cleveland, and somebody have a trustful warrant and trustful come get them. Never. And I've even told them, I'll bring them to you. You want me to bring them to you? I'll take them. Nope, we don't want them. And so, well, quit putting your warrants in NCIC because you're just wasting everybody's time.
All Trussell does is just pick along little kids, pulls them over for speeding and
Right.
puts them out on the street, clean up so they won't have to have it on their record, but I got grandkids. They just, I don't know.
And that's been that's been like that since I've been working for the county.
That's the way Trussell's always been, since I was raised in Trussell.
Oh, okay.
I went to school at Trussell, and trust me, I picked up on the side of the road immediately.
Not to tell any stories on themselves, but you know.
They'd fight. The police would fight each other in the city hall. One get mad at the other.
I'll tell you a true story. My partner Jason, it's been a while back now, but we were working on this one case, and we were just trying our best to find something to get this one person in jail. It was one of those situations, kind of like this house you're talking about down here, was just an ongoing situation, and it was just never going to seem to never stop. And so we finally wound up getting him on the shoulder, and he had one trustful. And we were like, great. They're not going to come get him. So, but we said, we're going to call anyway. So we called down there and said, hey, look, this guy, we got him on the side of the road. Will you come get him? They said, nope, not going to come get him. Jason said, you know what? I'll bring him to the county line. Nope. I'll bring him to your city. Nope. He said, you know what? I'll bring him to your jail. And they said, we're not going to take him. You bring him to our jail, we're not going to take him. Jason drove him to the jail, got out of his vehicle, brought him to the door, rung the buzzer. When somebody came and opened the door, they said, what are you doing? They said, this is your prisoner. And they said, we don't want him. He said, I don't care. They're yours now. The warrant was verified out of trust. It was verified. And we have them right here on your doorstep. We don't want them. Why? Anyway.
Is there no way that y'all can transfer the warrant?
No, sir. If they commit the crime in Trussville, then, that's where the warrant goes. It's just like in Blount County. If we stop you for drugs in Blount County, then, Jefferson County can't just pick you up and take you to jail for it. True story, it was about 2 years, well, it was about a year ago. This one case out of Cleveland, we stopped this guy. He had the 2.2 pounds of meth, a bunch of cash and some drugs. We tried to work with him. We called the FBI. They came up and tried to work him. To make a long story short, we were going to let him out we cut him loose because he was going to get his Mexican source out of Atlanta. Well, he ran. He didn't hold his end of the bargain. He took off. Somebody who knew where he was called me. Said, hey, he's right inside Jefferson County in a house. So I went to Jefferson County, found the house they were talking about, walked up on the porch. And those trailers have those windows like this on the front? So I walked up and I said, before I even knocked on the door, I looked in the window and I saw him sitting on the couch. And I knocked on the door and he looked. I said, come to the door. He looked to his right. I could see him mouthing. And he looked back and he got up to the couch and he walked over and he pushed a piece of paper in front of that window. I said, come on, man. I saw you in there. So I told myself, I'm fixing to kick the door down. Keep in mind, it's in Jefferson County. So first I said, before I do that, I'm calling my supervisor. I called my supervisor and he said, yeah, let's call Jefferson County, get them down there. So Jefferson County comes down there. Well, before Jefferson County could get there, this informant of mine comes walking out the front door, and I said, what are you doing? Because they were supposed to be telling me where this guy was and helping me get him. And about that time, the person comes running out the front door and jumps off the porch. I have to push this informant out of my way to go chase him down and arrest him. Now, he had warrants in Blount County, so he was going to Blount County. I'm charging the informant with obstruction of a governmental operation. Right? I'm charged. You're going to jail. You're supposed to be working with me. You stood in between me and the guy, and I had to push you out of the way to chase him. Now you're going to jail. Took the informant to Blount County, and I said, got to take him to Jefferson County. So I had to take him to Jefferson County, and then I had to go see the magistrate and sign a warrant to put him in Jefferson County jail. So
Can't win.
It's,
Yeah. Tie your hands too much.
yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions for him?
Well, you got my vote,
Thank you.
and my wife's and my son's.
Well, I really appreciate that. It really does mean the world to me. This, I can't tell y'all enough. You know, this is my home and I love it. And I promise you, I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't feel like, number one, it wasn't God led, number two, that I couldn't do this. So,
And June the 5th.
June the 5th.
That's is the primary.
That's the primary. Like, there's 6 people running. Now, here's the truth. We're praying for a win in June. We get laughed at every time we say that because there's 6 people running and there's going to be a runoff. And I understand, you know, 6 folks running, that would be expected to have a runoff. And if there is a runoff, it's July the 17th. But like I said, we're praying.
You have
for a
to get
win.
how many? What's the percentage?
To win it outright, you have to have 50% of the vote plus 1.
That's right.
And if you don't get, if nobody wins outright, then the top 2
Gets
the top 2 highest vote getters go to the runoff.
When they will start.
June 17th?
July the 17th.
Oh, July the 7th.
17th.
17th.
So I'm trying to get 17th.
We go fill absentee ballot out.
You have to have them. You have to have your absentee ballots filled out and turned in before May 20th.
Maybe 20.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Easy for me to remember.
I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be. The wife is this.
Get Chris and Mama's too then.
May 10th is the last day to register to vote, and May 20th is the last day that you can do your absentee ballot.
Yeah, I have to get started on that myself because
When you say you spent your life to stay in Blount County, I spent my whole life to get in Blount County. I was Jefferson County and had a time. Well, my in-law passed away and got their house.
Oh, okay.
Got to buy their house and I made my day. I mean,
I love my county. Like I said, it's been really good to me. You know, there's a lot. I get mad when I hear people talk about corruption and good old boy. Now there are some good old boys stuff that goes on, and there's probably some corruption that goes on. You know, but I just hate it when people badmouth Blount County in general. You know, when something bad happens, like we've had some pretty serious tragedies and crimes that have happened this year, and you start seeing people talking bad about Blount. Well, what do you expect out of Blount County? And I'm like, why would you badmouth Blount
it's
County? You ever
still
lived
better
here?
than Jefferson County.
the only thing, and I've started doing it since I've lived in Blount County, is I forget to use my turn signals. That's the only thing that I can say about Blount County. They don't know how you use their
That's
turn
true.
signals.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
Other than that, I love it.
A lot hasn't changed in Blount County since I was a kid. I didn't grow up in Blount County, but I lived in Blount County, and my family's from Blount County. And I came back to Blount County. That's 10 years ago now. You know, almost 11 years. And couldn't be happier.
Now, do y'all get to use the recovered drug money?
Okay, we do, but here's the problem. So, talking about that $100-some thousand that we took from that kid in Lawsville, and vehicles and things that we seize, we have a certain judge that does not like to give civil asset forfeitures. When we take that money, we file what's called forfeiture on it. When we take their cars, or we take their houses, or whatever it is that we take, that we believe that they buy with drug money, we have to file on that, and we never win those because we have a judge that doesn't like to give those to us. So I'll be honest with you, the last year or
What
so, I haven't
happens
filed
to it?
anyone.
What
Back to
happens
the drug
to it?
dealer?
Are you serious? It wouldn't be a female judge, would it?
No, sir.
Okay. Crazy.
That particular judge told a guy in open court, I believe you are what these officers say you are, but I just don't think they proved it and gave him all his money back. Told another police department, stop taking people's stuff.
Is this
It's-
just
well, I'm not coming here.
reelected?
And this is a year for him, but he's running unopposed.
Sound
All
like
of
he
our
might be on the tape.
But you know, it's one of those things where it frustrates everybody, from us to the sheriff, district attorney. Everybody's frustrated over it. We can't do nothing about it. You know, what the judge says, goes.
Can you not go over the judge to another judge?
I mean, you could try to appeal it up a level
It
federally,
won't
but
do no good.
it's gonna be a lot of time wasted. You know, we got people sitting in jail right now that I put in jail on drug charges that have a court date, or they're not sitting in jail now, they've been bonded out. But I got a subpoena and the court date's like 2025. We need an additional circuit judge in North County. We need an additional.
How do you go about getting the circuit judge, another circuit
Well, that is a process that
judge? The
it's,
state?
it is. It's kind of one of those things where you have to go and ask the folks in Montgomery, get a representative or whatever, go to Montgomery and talk to the powers that be down there, and then when you have to vote on it, you have to have an election and all that. But we desperately need another one because we've got people sitting in jail right now for murder that's been there for 4 or 5 years, and their court date's still hasn't come up, and they don't have a court date planned yet. We're talking about capital murder. And our jail's not built for that. Our jail's a detention center. And it's just built to hold people for a short period of time until they can make bond, But we're holding people in there. That's the reason we're overcrowded. You might hear a lot of people talking about how overcrowded we are, and because we got people that are waiting on trial.
And that's why they're not pushing further on these low level
Right.
drug dealers.
Because we still got big
There's
cases.
no run.
Right. And a lot of people get upset whenever, if they have a burglary or something at their house and say, well, can you dust for prints? Well, I can if you would like me to do that. I'll be glad to throw some powder in your living room on that and try to get a print. But even if I secure a print and I send it off, if there's not a death involved, they're not going to rush it. It's going to take years before.
There'll be a death involved.
If you catch them in your house,
You're
right?
dang right. Hey, I'm fearing my life. I got 2 twin grandbabies in my house. I'm gonna say that's what I was told.
Okay. All right.
Well, thank y'all so much. I really
Appreciate you
Thank
coming.
for coming.
So,
I learned a lot tonight myself, and
and,
had some questions answered.
if anybody has more questions or anything, feel free to ask me later, or I can give you my phone number. You can call me if you want to talk about it later. That's fine too.
All right. Well, we know where to find you.
Right, you can find me on Sundays, just right down the road.
All right. Thank you very much for coming. I'm glad that you came. All right. Anybody else have anything?
I make a motion we adjourn.
I second.
All right. Myrtle made the motion, and Eugene seconded. All in favor? All right. All in favor?
I mean, I can back up and
Unanimous?
preach for about 30 minutes.
All right. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much for coming.